Do your thoughts ever feel like a runaway train, fast, loud, and headed in the wrong direction? That's what we're going to talk about. I'm Greg Swanson, and this is the Warrior Mind Podcast number 719. Today, we're going to be talking about cognitive behavioral strategies. That sounds like a mouthful, and it is, but we're going to get through it. So, are you feeling stuck, overwhelmed or mentally scattered? Yeah, I think all of us are at some point during the day. Well, in this episode of the Warrior Mind podcast, we're going to break down cognitive behavioral strategies. Again, lots of words there. You can use to rewire your brain for clarity, control, and mental strength. Right? You're going to learn how to interpret negative thought loops and transform your mindset using CBT, not the other oil or chat CBT, however we want to confuse them, right? But we're going to use cognitive behavioral therapy principles used by elite performers. So also, if this is your first time, please subscribe for weekly insights on grit, resilience, and mental mastery on your favorite podcast platform. So let's get into it. What are cognitive behavioral strategies? Well, CBT for this podcast is cognitive behavioral therapy, kind of very similar to NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. They have these short acronyms, but big words behind them. Anyway, let's get into this a little bit. CBT is a science-backed method for changing thoughts and behavioral patterns. So NLP is very similar, but I think CBT has a little bit more science and research behind it. They both, in my opinion, because I've certified in both, they both want to get to the same result. It's just one has a different process, right? They want to get to the same top of the mountain. They're using different trails. So no big deal, right? So it focuses on the link between thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. Now, if this is the first time you've been in the podcast, this might be the first time you heard of this, but if you've been listening for a while, I use the TFAR model quite often. That means thought leads to feelings, feelings leads to actions, and action leads to results. Very similar in CBT, right? It's the thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. And so strategic mental rewiring tool, this is what it is based in. And it's a strategy. It's not fluff. It's not some woo-woo foo-foo stuff, but it's really science-based. And you're not just thinking positive. You are rewiring thought loops, right? If you've ever listened to Joe Dispenza, talks about that neurons that fire together wire together. And this is why we tend to keep repeating the same thoughts, which repeat the same emotions, which repeat the same behaviors, which get the same results, is because we have created this loop. And CBT helps to eliminate that loop and start a different loop. So again, right, your thoughts lead to your emotions, which lead to your behaviors. So if you don't like the result of your behavior, go back to your thoughts. And then you change the input, you shift the output. Very simple, right? So rewiring negative thought patterns. That's what we want to take a look at here. So identify automatic negative thoughts. First thing you have to do is know that you're thinking lousy thoughts. And they become so much a part of us that it's hard to realize that we do have a negative thought. And, the easy way, complain, blame, or justify that what we don't have is, can be a basis for that. But we really want to identify those negative thoughts. And if we don't know them by sound, I know we certainly know them by our emotions, right? If we're getting frustrated, angry, sad, it usually has to do with a negative thought. But again, these are so automatic that they just happen. We have programmed ourselves through repetition to keep having the same thoughts. So this is where these ants come in. What we can use thought stopping and reframing techniques to break this loop. Thought stopping is that you know you're having this thought. Maybe it's a thought of I'm going to be fired, or I'm going to be laid off, and you know, and you just stop. You see a big stop sign in your mind's eye, and then you shift. It's kind of like coming to a T in the intersection of a road. You're going on the road, you're going straight, you have these negative thoughts. You stop and you want to turn left or turn right. Either way is going to be a different thought. You just don't want to continue straight through it. And reframing techniques is taking a look at it and seeing, a different perspective on it. Maybe it's raining that day and you wanted to go out hiking. Well, perhaps that rain can help your garden grow more vegetables. Or perhaps there are people that wish they had rain, right? There's different ways of reframing it. It's just not, oh, the rain's so nice, I can't wait to go outside and jump in the mud. That might be a fun thing, but we just want to look when we start complaining when we complain about something, it's the opposite energy of when we want to reframe it, but it's the same event, right? So we're not changing the event, we're changing how we look at it, and this is breaking the loop using pattern interrupts. For instance, you may have a pattern where you sit down, you watch the news, you get annoyed. You sit down, watch the news, get annoyed. So automatically you sit down without even turning the news on, you get annoyed. A pattern interrupt would be that you go to sit down, you stand up, and you turn on happy music and you dance. But you keep doing that. There are different ways of using pattern interrupts, and I use this with my clients all the time. And I can't get into all of them here, but just think about you have a pattern and you want to break it. There are several ways of interrupting. Like if a person is really getting, talking to you and they're getting in this loop around and around, they're repeating the same thing, you could say, hey, when was the last time you saw a white horse? And they go, huh? And that interrupts their pattern, right? So we can do that to ourselves too, is when you have this pattern of complaining or bitching about something over and over again, stop and go, hey, when was the last time I saw a white horse? And think about it. That's a pattern interrupt, right? And then we want to anchor new beliefs in action-based repetition. So if we have a belief that we're not going to get a promotion or get a raise, we want to flip that around and find all the reasons why we should or we will get a promotion or raise. And then we want to anchor that belief. This, comes from NLP, at least in my teachings, where we can anchor something to trigger events, to trigger emotional responses. If you're feeling awkward and you haven't done that in the past, you can do an anchor, pull your ear and think of a time when you felt confident. Pull your ear again, think of a time when you felt confident. Those are all anchors. We can have anchors, verbal anchors. Music is a great anchor. You probably have heard a song that reminds you of a great concert you went to or a really wonderful time. You hear that song, those memories come rushing in. That's an anchor. We can do those on purpose to create empowering beliefs as well as action-based repetition, which basically means we play that anchor over and over and over again until it gets part of us. And then when we have that anchor, the empowering belief will come up and we will take action based on that empowering belief. So then you can have some thought logs. It's basically journaling, right? So at the end of the day, review your conversations, review your thoughts. We have so many of them, you're not going to remember all of them, but just some that really stood out to you. Maybe you had a conversation with your significant other that didn't go so well. Maybe you had a conversation with a coworker or a boss that didn't go so well. Well, then review that. Review the emotions that you had. How did you respond or how did you react to the individual that you're communicating with? And then you can do some prompts, like when a person says this, I tend to feel this way. When a person says this, I tend to feel that way. And we want to look at the prompts that get us to react, pushing our buttons. And so when we write them down and journal them, we know where they are and we know that we can then set a different anchor. And then you can, if you had a bad conversation, you can do some self-talk rewrites about that conversation. So you had, that was a lousy conversation. Well, it wasn't so bad. I can do some other things with that information, right? The self-talk is that really annoying. Those where those ants come from, right? Is that self-talk. And when we can start to understand that we're having those self-talks and then work on eliminating them, use some raid on those ants, get rid of them, then we can do some self-talk rewrites. Like, what do we want? What do we want to have? What do we want to believe? And we keep doing those affirmations, basically. And then think of your brain as a trail system, right? Repetition builds stronger mental paths. And I use this analogy a lot because I go out hiking a lot. And when you go hiking, whether it's up a mountain, in the forest, there's a path, right? And it's the path that we've always taken. It's worn down and it's clear and it's clean. But that's the path we take. That can be a negative path because of our ants and our other thoughts there. And so what we want to do is go off that path and start a new one. Yes, it's going to be hard in the beginning because there's going to be so much brush and trees and rocks and all sorts of stuff. But as we keep walking that new path, we will then eventually wear it down. And we're thinking of this as a new positive path. And the old one will get overgrown, so we won't walk on that path anymore. So building mental toughness through thought management, right? We hardly ever manage our thoughts. We don't think about them. We just say they're part of us. I can't help it. That's the way I think. And it's like, no, that's just weak, right? We can help what we think. We have thoughts that do come up spontaneously, but it doesn't mean we have to focus on them. It doesn't have to mean that we believe them. We don't have to do anything with them. They come and they go, like birds flying by a window. But we want to have some thought management. Like, how do we want to think throughout the day? And when I am having a non-supportive thought, how can I shift it? And we want to replace emotion-driven reactions with intention-led responses, right? A reaction is somebody pushes your button and you just react. What we want to do is count to 5, yes, or count even to 10, and we want to think about what's going on, and then we want to respond as opposed to reaction, right? And if you look at re-act, so all in the past we've been acting in some way. We're being an actor and we're acting, so we are reacting the same thing over and over and over again. What we want to do is have responses, and it's an intention. How do I want to respond to this? How do I want to be perceived when I respond to this statement or this question? And that is part of thought management, right? Is responding. And we can use pattern interrupts to regain presence and clarity. That can be pinching the skin between our thumb and our forefinger when we feel ourselves getting agitated. It could be pulling our ear. Really great one, just take some deep breaths. Or if somebody says something and you're reacting, you don't have to react immediately, right? That's instantaneous. You can just pause, create some silence, breathe, and then respond. All of those are fine. There's no law that says you have to, reply within 1 second or 1 millisecond after somebody talks to you. You can take as much time as you want. That's up to you. And the more time you can take to give a response instead of reaction, the better off you and the other parties are going to be as well. So what we want to do is align this cognitive behavioral strategies with the 4 C's of mental strength, right? Control, commitment, challenge, and confidence. Control is the big one, right? We want to feel that we are in control of our emotions, or mentally strong people are more in control of their emotions. We all slip up here and there, and control of our life circumstances, or at least how we respond to those. So we want to, use the 4 C's and then leverage the cognitive behavioral strategies into those to make a really great methodology of changing your thoughts, which will change your feelings, which will change your actions, etc. Right? So choose intention over reaction. When you want to respond, and it could be just with a buddy or a friend, a lot of times we'll just go back and forth like a ping pong. They say something, we say something. We don't hear what they're saying, they don't hear what we're saying, and we're going back and forth. Well, that's reaction. And sometimes that's just the way it is. But when you can practice intention, like in what do you want to say? How do you want to be perceived? What are the words? What is the message you want to get across? Then choose those words wisely. And then you want to train your brain like you train your body. You go and lift, you want to lift mental stuff. You want to do mental reps on monitoring your intention, monitoring your emotions, monitoring how do you want to respond. Those are all mental reps for that. So one of the things with CBT is that it's too soft. It's not clinical. It's fuzzy. Well, it's not about coddling. This is about taking ownership. CBT is taking ownership of your thoughts, your emotions, your behaviors, and your reactions, right? Hard truth. Your current thoughts aren't training you. They are training you to win or quit. So, are they training you, and are they training you to win or quit? This is part of it. Those are the hard truths, right? Power, CBT is a mental gym, not a meditation retreat. Meditation retreats are wonderful. They're great. But CBT is hardcore. Just get to your thoughts, the ones that aren't supporting you, remove them through a series of processes, and a coach can help you, like myself. But it's not like you go sit and this is real world. You want to get out there and change your thoughts and your emotions. CBT, and I would say also NLP, can help you a lot with that, right? It's only for therapy, right? Because cognitive behavioral therapy, everybody thinks it's therapy. It's just a word that was put there, but we can look at cognitive behavioral strategies. NLP is also looked at as a therapy, but both of them are not, because we're not working with the past as much as we want to change our present to create a better future. The truth, CBT is high performance mental training. It really is. And when you get into it, you're going to find some resistance when you want to try to change your thoughts, and it's going to go back. And so you really want to dig in, get those reps in there, push yourself through challenge, control, commitment, and confidence. And this action builds resilience. The more you do these mental reps and these strategies that we're talking about here, the more it's going to build resilience. So cognitive behavioral strategies give you the tools to fight back against burnout, reclaim your mental focus, and step into unshakable clarity. If you're serious about upgrading your internal software, this is where the transformation begins, is with cognitive behavioral strategies or even coaching. You can rewire your brain with daily intentional work. Just go through the stuff that we've gone through, right? CBT is the blueprint for stronger thoughts and stronger actions. If you want to reprogram your mind for clarity, focus, and inner strength, then book your breakthrough session today, and that is on the website. So if you want to see the show notes of this podcast and book your strategy session, please visit warriormindcoach.com. While you're over there, you can find more information via podcast and blog posts, and also find how to book your session. Since you'll be on the internet, please follow me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest, all under Warrior Mind Coach.